there was a point when even when Steve Smith would get to 100, his strike rate wouldn't be up to the mark. He was even criticized for it. It's obviously something that's got into his head. 100 of 62 balls, 100 of 62 balls. Good way to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I mean, he wasn't at his best in the IPL, but I just wonder by him being around the IPL, seeing the way that players strike the ball, particularly those that had a lot of success hitting the ball hard to the boundary riders. I just wonder whether Steve Smith thought, you know what, I actually need to improve my game and just improve just a little bit more than is almost physically possible. And I think that's a great lesson to all players. It doesn't matter what your standard is, and his is such a high standard, you can always get a little bit better. It just looks to me like he's hitting the ball that little bit harder, which is giving him the boundary options pretty much at will. He's got that great awareness of what the bowlers are trying to do. I think he's always ahead of the bowler in terms of thinking as he's in the crease what the bowler's going to deliver to him. He's looking around the field. He's got that amazing ability to open the blade, to find the gaps. If you bowl a bad ball, like the great players of this era, they just don't miss out. They don't miss the gap. But what he's brilliant at is knowing where the gaps are and angling the bat and the blade towards those gaps. He's got better. You know, he's obviously had a period where it's not gone so well, but I think even in times where you're struggling and not scoring so many runs, you can still kind of look around and improve your game. And I think that's what Steve Smith's done. And I said it on Friday, I'll say it again, we're going to see a lot of Steve Smith over the next 2 months, because when he finds form in home conditions, we've had it from an England perspective in Ashes series, that when he finds form, we'll be talking about him on Cricket Buzz, I reckon, for 2 months, because it'll be, how do you get him out? How do you stop him? The one area that I've been disappointed with India is that they haven't bounced him. You know, I think you can bounce him and target him with a few short balls. It's worked before for teams. And even though it's one-day cricket, you know, I'm still surprised that the likes of Bumrah and Sharma haven't gone at him with a few bounces.
Yeah, I mean, he likes both. He likes both, Michael Vaughan. One day it's going to be Shami kebabs and Bhuna Bumrah, and on other days it's going to be roast beef and Yorkshire pudding. I just couldn't think of an English bowler to stick in on a recipe there. But yeah, he does enjoy feasting on both those attacks. But let's just add those numbers to this entire discussion we're having. It was not just the IPL, but even if you go back to one-day international hundreds and have a look at Rajkot and Bengaluru, he got 98 of 102. And 131 of 132. So having been in there that long, his strike rate didn't go above 100 on either occasion. Guess what? India won both those games. Not saying you have to blame him for it, but it was an occasion where such a difference, where he's actually starting to flow, Zahir. And it is a different Steve Smith who's playing. He said he found his hands, and he wasn't just boasting. He made a very pertinent comment.
Exactly. I think, you know, when you look at those numbers, they have actually gotten better, and strike rate is really striking in these numbers. So if he's going to score runs, then you have to find a way of him going back to his old strike rate, I guess. You know, so if you're looking at, there was a phase in international cricket when Sachin Tendulkar was really putting bowlers under pressure. And what used to happen, you'll see that the moment he walks into bat, you'll have deep point and deep square leg, and, you know, all those fielders, which is in a way a very defensive field, but you have to figure out the area where he's hitting boundaries, and you got to try and minimize that. So if that means you have to keep on bowling short to him, which Michael made that point of bowling those short pitch deliveries at him, then so be it. You know, you just have to get those fielders in the right place. I think with his wagon wheel, if you see over the years, you know, he's not really someone who hits down the ground that much. He's more predominantly a square of the wicket players. So you can actually plan in that fashion. And at the moment, I think that strike rate is a big concern, because in middle overs, if he's walking into bat and hitting runs at that strike rate, is always going to end up in team getting in excess of par score. And that really puts you out of the game of sorts. So it's going to be very important going forward, since it's a long series, to figure those things out and let him really work hard for his runs.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, sometimes a batsman comes in early, has time, and therefore starts accelerating. But every time he's building on a platform, and sometimes you'd say maybe you don't have enough time to bat. He does have enough time, and he makes all those runs. By the way, Michael, while Zahir was talking, I did think of one. a cheeky one, roast beefy and Yorkshire pudding. The only problem is Beefy was never up against Steve Smith. Maybe he would have done far better than some of the more contemporary bowlers.
No, it's that's a good one. But we know from playing against Australia the last few years that we've had these discussions about Steve Smith so many times. I can only imagine the amount of time that's been spent in the team rooms and in the kind of coach's corner trying to work out a plan. And Ravi Shastri and his backroom team with Virat will be trying to think of something that they can throw at Steve Smith starting on Wednesday, and then obviously the T20s, but more so that 4-match Test series. Because as I say, once he's found his hands, which he has, it's very difficult to stop.